Right, Max, good to see you. New car. The rest of the Formula One field is, I suppose, pretty worried that it's an improvement on last year's. You've driven it already. What's the initial verdict?
As the 2024 season gets off, Red Bull's drive for F1 dominance is encountering unforeseen obstacles. Why is Red Bull in a weak spot in the competition to create the fastest car? Want to see the difficulties they encounter?
Well, I do like what the team has done. It's not a conservative car. It's not like last year was a great car. We'll just add a few bits and we'll try to make it a little bit faster. I do think they've been quite bold, and that's what I like. They've been quite aggressive.
Red Bull has become the clear leader in the exciting 2023 Formula One season, forcing its rivals to adjust to its sudden dominance. To close the gap in the next 2024 season, teams like Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, and Aston Martin are adjusting their strategies. But even if major advancements are anticipated, one obvious issue remains: how far will Red Bull take the RB20? Christian Horner, team principal at Red Bull, keeps a close eye on how the competition changes. Max Verstappen's domination is occasionally threatened, but Horner doesn't care because Red Bull has already turned its attention to the problems that the upcoming season will present. Because it is at the top of the ATR tables, which provide more wind tunnel and CFD resources than the lower one in the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull has had the disadvantage of having less aerodynamic testing time than its competitors. In addition, it received a further 10% cut as penalty for violating the 2021 cost cap, which began in late October 2022 and continued for a full year. The strategic dance of focus and foresight is repeated in Horner's words. Red Bull Racing, in its uncompromising drive for triumph, is not only focused on the here and now, but also creating a progressive melody for the future. Can Red Bull's focus on the RB20 enhance their future success? Horner is honest enough to confess that since the summer break, their current victorious vehicle, the RB19, hasn't received many changes. The group is now focusing on the RB20, which is the next development in their race for supremacy. But this is not the story of disregard or laziness. Instead, it's a calculated risk, a purposeful investment of funds in a future where success is not only maintained but enhanced. Instead of limiting their aspirations, the wind tunnel's limitations have acted as a catalyst for a calculated shift. However, this is not a rash turn. Rather, it is a careful development characterized by a constant dedication to quality. Red Bull is steady, even when the seasons change and the competition presses against them. Their boundless quest for greatness creates an innovative tapestry that cuts across borders and continents. For Horner and his group, the goal of the mission is to push the envelope of what is possible and discover new ground, not just hold on to their lead. The seeds of tomorrow's victories are carried by the RB19 as it thunders across tracks, demonstrating Red Bull Racing's undying dedication to the chase of speed. Throughout the first half of the season, Red Bull's development was characterized by an organized progression that included tactical changes meant to improve aerodynamic efficiency. Everything started in Baku at the end of April when the team presented a revised sidepod inlet form and a reworked floor, which served as a foundation for their early season enhancements. So, did Red Bull's upgrades boost the RB19's aerodynamics? This demonstrated their aggressive effort to fine-tuning their RB19 Challenger, coming just 4 weeks after their modified front wing debut in Australia. In an effort to maintain their lead in aerodynamics, Spain made more floor modifications in the first part of June. A new front wing was introduced in Canada shortly after, demonstrating Red Bull's dedication to ongoing development. The focus by Austria switched to altered rear suspension fairings, which was another way to improve the car's overall performance. Nevertheless, the Red Bull made their second significant development jump of the season in Hungary at the end of July. Here, the sidepod inlet shape was altered even more, and the floor received yet another major update. These were not just cosmetic changes. They offered a significant aerodynamic benefit, demonstrating the team's skill in optimizing performance by carefully fine-tuning the car's bodywork. It's crucial to remember that, although the side pod inlet improvements proved to be very helpful in cooling-related aerodynamic tests, this benefit was limited to improving the interface between the cooling systems and bodywork rather than the complete car package. This calculated move demonstrates Red Bull's skill at using technical rules to improve performance and make sure every improvement adds significantly to their competitive advantage on the racetrack. Aerodynamic testing restrictions, which are known as ATR, have meant that Red Bull's approach to development has been marked by intentional conservatism since the summer break. Other teams may have pushed major updates, but Red Bull has concentrated on making small, circuit-specific changes. Want to know how Red Bull navigated ATR restrictions for the RB20? Refined floor edges and rear wing end plates in Singapore, a new beam wing at Zandvoort, and more cooling louvers recently added to handle the particular demands of Mexico City are among the notable modifications. Red Bull has skillfully negotiated the ATR restrictions in spite of these constraints. Christian Horner, the team principal, is firm in his recognition that these constraints have not yet had their full impact. Christian Horner's observations shed light on the Red Bull's calculated approach to handling the cost cap and its effects. especially in light of their plans for the car's development for the next year. He highlights the benefit of having a competitive vehicle early in the season, which frees up resources and attention for the team to work on other projects, including the RB20. This proactive approach highlights their capacity to build on early development gains all year long. Horner's favorable evaluation of the FIA's cost cap supervision points to be a dynamic and complex regulatory environment. He recognizes the intense scrutiny Red Bull endured, comparing it to a full colonoscopy in the summertime. On the other hand, opinions on how severe the sanctions under the cost cap system should have been vary. Some who disagree would claim that the extent of the effect relies on how much pressure is put on teams like Red Bull. According to the point of view, rules exist, but how well they work depends on how they are applied and the unique situations that each team faces. In what manner did Red Bull get ready with the help of Mercedes and Ferrari? Overall, Horner's comments shed light on Red Bull's proactive approach to preparing for future competitiveness and their planned response to regulatory issues. However, they also acknowledge the continuous complications and arguments surrounding the implementation of cost caps in Formula 1. The way that Mercedes and Ferrari failed to put enough pressure on Red Bull in the 2023 season has been quite beneficial to the team's development roadmap and strategy planning. Christian Horner's claim highlights this advantage by implying that Red Bull has been able to devote more resources and attention to their 2024 vehicle, the RB20, without facing significant competition. With Formula 1's razor-thin margins, the power to pressure rivals into difficult development decisions frequently spurns long-term planning. Mercedes and Ferrari have unintentionally paved this way for Red Bull by not posing serious developmental obstacles to the team during 2023. This has allowed Red Bull to be competitive in the current season, as well as while they get ready for the RB20 debut in February of next year. F1's own analysis highlights the wasted opportunity for opponents to apply decisive pressure, showing Mercedes' marginal improvement in average pace across the season, contrasted to Red Bull and Ferrari's small decline. Red Bull may benefit from this calculated error when they introduce their next-generation vehicle, possibly cementing their place as the industry leaders. Despite its dominance, Red Bull Racing is currently at a strategic disadvantage in the competition to create F1 cars. In fact, the crew was able to concentrate on the RB20 next year because of the RB19's early success, but this came at a price. Although they haven't been able to keep up with Red Bull's pace this season, rivals Mercedes and Ferrari have been working hard to close the performance difference. Although beneficial in the long run, Red Bull's strategic shift to 2024 has left them weak in the short run. Their efforts have been made more difficult by the aerodynamic testing limits that were placed upon them as a cost cap penalty. These limitations have made it difficult for them to consistently improve the RB19. Thus, they are now forced to depend only on small upgrades and modifications to certain circuits. Red Bull's relative slowness may prove to be a serious weakness when Mercedes and Ferrari step up their pursuit. Red Bull's competitive advantage could be compromised by their competitors' rapid progress, which could lead to a level playing field earlier than expected. In summary, even though Red Bull's forward-thinking approach seeks to maintain long-term success, the competition for dominance is still very much in play, given the immediate threat offered by their rivals' rapid development. When the RB20 makes its debut, will Red Bull be able to hold their advantage over the competitors, or will their tireless pace level the playing field? Can they maintain their lead, or will Mercedes and Ferrari close the gap? Kindly let us know what you think of Red Bull's approach. For more news and insights on the exciting world of Formula 1, like, share, and subscribe. See you. Adios.